Daily Detroit is brought to you by the community. Support our work at patreon.com/dailydetroit.
I'm Jer Stays, and this is your Daily Detroit, recorded on December 19th, 2018.
And I'm Sven Gustafson. Later in the show, Shianne Nocerini takes you to Detroit's Islandview neighborhood to speak with Veronika Scott of the Empowerment Plan.
But first, there's some bad news for hundreds of local General Motors factory workers.
GM's Detroit-Hamtramck assembly plant took a very real step toward closure yesterday. According to a filing with the state of Michigan, 664 workers will be laid off from the facility that straddles the border of Detroit and Hamtramck. More than 700 GM workers will be laid off statewide. There are 2,700 positions open at other GM factories around the country, but as many as 6,700 laid-off workers will be vying for those jobs. DHAM, as it's known by the company, was built after the controversial demolition of a Detroit neighborhood that forced thousands of people to relocate. The plant was once hailed as the future of the auto industry. Now, no cars will be built in the city of Detroit by General Motors. The only automaker who will assemble cars in the city will become Fiat Chrysler. That company is reactivating a plant on the far east side to build a new 3-row Jeep Grand Cherokee.
Here's another piece of neighborhood development news over on the far east side in Jefferson Chalmers. 2 historic apartment buildings on Marlborough Street, just off of Jefferson, will be redeveloped into 23 new apartments. The buildings have been vacant for more than 30 years. The $5.4 million project will be done by the nonprofit Jefferson East Incorporated and Shelbourne Development. More than half of the units will be affordable, with the rent set at $800 a month for residents making about $30,000 a year or less. Both buildings were built in 1927. The 5,600 square foot Marlborough building will have 15 units. The IDAO building is 3,900 square feet and will have 8 units. Construction has begun. The work is expected to be complete by the fall of 2019. To see some renderings, head on over to dailydetroit.com.
Man, Jared, that area has really been hit hard. It's kind of the urban prairie over there, but has a lot of potential. I'd also point out that Shelbourne Development is headed up by my friend Kathy McKino Leibschitz. You and I ran into her at the Detroit Shipping Company several weeks ago. Yeah. She's done a lot of she's renovated a lot of the buildings over in Palmer Park, in the Palmer Park apartment district over there. Has done a fantastic job. I know she's done some other projects over there on the east side. She's got a good heart. She's good people.
That east side, I have so many good memories. Of course, the running gag is that Jer loves the east side on the show, but that's right over there by like Marshall's Bar and like those canals, and there's all kinds of things. And I think people don't realize the real potential there when you're in the city of Detroit, and yet you can be right next to Grosse Pointe and all the services, Grosse Pointe Park, Grosse Pointe City, and all the services that are right there. I think there's just like a lot of potential because it's near the riverfront. It's got so many things, and I'm just excited to see it, especially when like a couple years ago we went into the Vanity Ballroom and got to see all the work that's going on there. And it's slow going, but it's starting to happen.
A report that caught our eye from MLive says that industrial hemp farming could be poised to go big right here in Michigan. That's thanks to the new state law legalizing marijuana in Michigan, plus a federal farm bill awaiting President Trump's signature. It would remove hemp from a list of federally controlled substances. Changing that designation, which has been in place since 1970, means farmers could apply for crop insurance and financing assistance to grow hemp. Industrial hemp is useful for a wide variety of products, including cannabidiol, or CBD, a widely used pain and stress reliever. Assuming Trump signs the bill into law, it'll fall to the U.S. Department of Agriculture to figure out how to regulate the growing and processing of the crop. We'll put a link to the full MLive story on dailydetroit.com.
The D won't drop in downtown Detroit this New Year's Eve. That's according to the organizers of the annual event, which at one point drew tens of thousands of people to the city center. I think one year more than 30,000. Begun in 2010, the event was Detroit's answer to New York Times Square celebration, minus Jenny McCarthy, Ryan Seacrest, and whoever hosts it nowadays. Possibly a robot of Dick Clark?
A hologram, yes.
It featured a giant illuminated letter D that slid down a tower. It's been located in Cadillac Square and Beacon Park. Co-founder Jared Mooney said in a statement that because downtown Detroit has so much going on, logistics and timing for the Motor City New Year's Eve celebration, as it's properly called, became a problem. They say their focus is now on bringing the event back in 2020.
The popular wine shop and bar, The Royce Detroit, was named one of the 10 best wine shops nationwide for 2018 by the website VinePair. The top 10 list was broken down into geographical regions. The Royce took the top spot for the Great Lakes region, which included Illinois, Indiana, Michigan, and Ohio. Here's what VinePair says about the Royce. Quote, founder, owner, and wine director Ping Ho has a selection of around 500 bottles that focuses on small batch producers practicing organic, biodynamic, and low intervention winemaking. An extra hat tip goes to the shop's industrial Art Deco design with exposed bricks. To be considered for the VinePair Best Wine Store list, stores had to meet some requirements. Stores had to keep regular business hours, carry a wide range of bottles, and had to be a cornerstone of the local wine drinking community. The Royce opened in August of 2016. It's located inside the Kales building right across the street from Grand Circus Park.
I just need to note right here, this place is gorgeous. I mean, it's just beautiful. It's set in that Kales building right there along Grand Circus Park. It feels very big city. It's just so well executed, and the owner's done a really good job with it.
I'm ashamed to say I've never been there. I need to check it out as a wine fan. I'm also really excited about the news that La Feria, my favorite local Spanish tapas restaurant, is opening its own wine and sherry bar right next door to itself.
Thanks for dragging the team out there a couple of weeks ago. That was so tasty. That was ridiculous.
I also got to give a shout to the wine program at Western Market in my hometown of Ferndale, or where I live right now. They do a great job. They find wines from various corners of the planet that are represent a really good value. They're not expensive, but they drink really well, and they have Thursday night tastings. Great place to buy wine.
Red, white, what's your
all kinds? Yeah, and they've got weird stuff like. I found like German Rhine Valley sparkling wines and stuff like that's like kind of, it's probably not weird in Europe, but it's not common to find over here. A lot of stores here carry like California wines and that's it. But they do a lot of old world stuff, and you can buy wines from the Finger Lakes in New York, northern Michigan, Portugal, etc.
On a cool morning in the Islandview neighborhood of Detroit, there is a sound of sewing machines and activity on Kercheval near Grand Boulevard. That's because there's a new production space for the Empowerment Plan. The nonprofit is known for making the sleeping bag coats that are distributed to homeless people around the world. But they're also working on breaking the cycle of poverty. We'll talk about that more later. More than 30,000 coats have been made over the last 6 years. It's a phenomenon grown thanks to word of mouth and straight-up hustle by Veronika Scott. Veronika started the Empowerment Plan in 2012 after she designed the coat for a class project while she attended the College for Creative Studies in Detroit.
So I have no business background, no fashion expertise. I went for industrial design, and we had a class that said, we want you to design to fill a need in the community. And this was in 2010, post-economic collapse. And there was a ton of needs in the community. And I remember specifically kind of talking to some people, and this is something that I've heard since then from people around the world, but I see this person every day on my way to work or on my way to school, and they're out there and it's negative something degrees out. How are they okay? What can I do to help? Is $1 going to help them in this situation? And that is something that you hear from everybody, and they want to find a way to get involved and do something. So that was the need that I was addressing. It's like, how do you actually help somebody that is displaced and on the streets, like right now? Not down the road, but right in this moment. How do you make the most impact?
This isn't the first space for the nonprofit. They started in a 5,000 square foot space in the Pony Ride Incubator in Corktown and quickly outgrew it. But good, workable space is hard to find in the city, so it took 2 years to find this new location. The new space is 21,000 square feet. It means that they can make more coats and hire more employees. There's room to store material that has been donated from larger companies like Carhartt, GM, and Patagonia. It is bright and open with plenty of natural sunlight, thanks to new skylights. While the coat is serving a need in the community, it is just a Band-Aid for a much larger problem. The empowerment plan is doing more to help break the cycle of poverty by hiring people who have been in a shelter. Workers at the empowerment plan make between $12 and $16 an hour, but while they're at work, they split their work week up. 60% of their time at work is spent in producing coats, and the other 40% of their time is spent in the classroom taking classes to get their GED, on financial literacy, family life success, domestic violence, and even yoga.
And they're with us for about 2 years before going on into other jobs. So they're developing things here, they're earning a living, and then they're really looking to find this next big thing. It could be anything from welding to home health care. We have people that are, with title source and all sorts of like GM. It's really interesting to see where they're going because it doesn't have to be in sewing. Our goal is just to get people financially stable and ready to compete.
And there are ways for you to get involved too.
Whether it's the coat sponsorship, coming in and supporting in person, there's like a food pantry that we run here as well, supporting technology here. There's a lot of different ways. So it's very easy to sponsor a coat. We have individuals that sponsor, like they do reoccurring monthly donation that sponsors coats. They go onto our site at empowermentplan.org. There's a section just called the coat. You can go on the site and sponsor a coat for somebody in need. Now you can say, hey, I want 1 coat or I want 500 coats. And you can also let us know where you would like them to go. Specifically, if there's a community that you want to reach, let us know. Or if there's a nonprofit that you already work with that you really love, that's really great for us because we're always looking to expand our network of people and partners.
For Daily Detroit, I'm Shianne Nocerini.
Well, that'll do it, friends, for your Daily Detroit. I'm Sven Gustafson.
And I'm Jer Stays, and I gotta say, I am counting the days to Christmas. Take care of each other, and we'll see you around Detroit.
You're listening to the Podcast Detroit Network. Visit www.podcastdetroit.com for more information.